Are you standing up right now?
Oh, me? Yeah. I got got like a standing desk situation, but also I have a kind of ADHD thing where I fidget a lot, and so I found that I stand pretty much every time with a laptop. Has just worked better for me.
That's smart. That's a good idea. I've been thinking about becoming a stand-up desk guy. I can't commit.
I actually am sitting at a standing desk, but it's adjustable. And I think I've actually stood on the desk maybe, I don't know, 6 times in like 4 years. So, if you can do it, respect. But I even bought like a fucking balance board and shit, and it just never took.
See, that's funny, Drew. I would have thought you're like a yoga ball guy.
I mean, I'm not opposed to a yoga ball. I would sit on a yoga ball. That is some type of shit that I would do.
Clocked.
I wouldn't guess yoga ball, but definitely like one of those $400 Instagram bean bags that you could fold in any shape.
Man, your Instagram ads sound way better than mine.
No, mine are terrible.
What kind of ads are you getting?
I'm getting ads for like underwear with like butt pads in them for men and shit.
Oh, hang on a second.
Yeah.
Why do they think you need that?
I've talked about this on my stories. Like, I'm not hiding anything. Yeah.
All my Instagram pants are for cool ads are for cool pants. So these beanbag commercials and ass chaps, that sounds foreign to me.
Well, they're like the opposite of chaps because
I was going to say it's the reverse of assless chaps. It's extra ass chaps.
Yeah.
I mean, that's literally a King of the Hill joke. Like when Hank is he's in a lawnmower race and he can't sit down in the lawnmower long enough because he has a medically absent ass. And so he has to wear butt pads for this.
Oh, no, you're right. There is. And he's just he's one of those dag nabbit, look at where the world's coming to kind of situations. And then by the end of the episode, he realizes he's much more left-leaning than he actually is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know who's a big writer on that show? Wyatt Cenac.
Yep, knew that.
Huh. So Keegan, where are you right now? Like in the world?
I'm in Portland, Oregon. I lived out here for about 6 years. My wife and I moved out here. We were living in China briefly for about a year, and then we were living in Florida for a year to be close to family. And then we got married and moved out here, and we've been here ever since.
Damn, you ever hang out with the Leviathan guy?
I gotta be honest. I'm gonna have to Google the Leviathan guy.
He's a like sociopathically psychotic black metal guy. I think his name's Jeff Whitehead.
It's totally possible that I have. There's just there's so many of those that it'd be hard to tell if it was the Leviathan or an imposter Leviathan. There's always what I like about Portland is that it is all of the corny shit people say it is, but it's also everything else. Like there is the corny shit there, but that's every city has parts of it that are whack. There's just also so much more to the city than the dweeby stuff. It's just I don't know, less racist Philly. It's a really great collection of neighborhoods where most of what you do is stuff you walk to. I walk to my coffee shop, my grocery store, my bars. I found a place where I don't have to drive my car anywhere or even transit to do most of the stuff I want. And I just haven't been able to move since I got here.
All right. Well, first of all, why you gotta throw Philly under the bus like that, man? I live here.
No, I mean I think that Philly is one of America's great cities, and
so you're racist.
No, part of what makes it
true, Italian Americans, that's only a thing in New York.
I'm speaking mostly about the Italian Polish American situation in Philly.
You mean the discrimination that the Italian X individuals face in Philadelphia?
Yeah, at the hands of the really horrible Polish people who I think deserve.
Hell yeah, brother.
Oh,
Hell
Keegan,
yeah, brother.
tell him about Smingus Dingus.
I don't know if Dingus Day is like an anti-Polish holiday elsewhere in the world. Elsewhere in the world, it's like been turned into like a celebration of Polish heritage some places, but in Buffalo, New York, Dingus Day is an actively anti-Polish holiday that revolves around mocking and harassing the Polish people. I do not know why this is real, but like people are like, this is not a thing, right? This is something that you're like making up. My aunt every Dingus Day wears a shirt that she has that says 0% Polish. That's her like bar crawl shirt. It's like proudly not Polish. It's a
Oh my god!
It is the only anti-Polish holiday in the nation that I'm aware of, and it seems to be all like everybody is coexists pretty peacefully. Yearly we harass the Polish people; they take it really well, and then we move on.
So it's like the purge of anti-Polish.
Yes, it's the purge of Polish racism. It's totally acceptable for one day.
God, this is why America's number one.
We're hanging on to our traditions of niche micro racism. You have to keep it local, stay true to what your community has always done.
Right. Even the fact that you guys call it Dingus Day, that takes some like wit.
It's Dyngus, and the actual history, if you like Wikipedia it, involves something involving hitting people with pussy willow branches and like it's really complicated. The origins are like
Don't they also throw a single young lady in the river if they want to marry her or something like that?
Yeah, it's kind of the thing that you feel like was made up in a book you read in middle school, like The Giver or something, but it's actually it's originally Smingus Dingus Day. They throw water over the girls on Easter Monday, and then sometimes they hit them with pussy willow branches.
Oh, this is okay. I know where this comes from. This comes from the banyas, like the spas. So this happens every April 1st. I am going to be celebrating this going forward in perpetuity.
All right. Well, welcome to Nersy, the number one anti-Polish podcast on leftist rap Twitter. I am Drew, and
come on, I work in Greenpoint, man. I can't. Yeah.
Okay, it's the number 2 anti-Polish podcast on leftist rap Twitter.
Yeah.
Let's just meet in the middle and say Serbians.
I gotta be honest. We're wading into dicey territory here. I'm gonna need a flow chart before we continue.
All right. Well, I am Drew. My co-hosts are.
Oh, me? Okay. I'm Trey.
I'm Slava P, the pride of Poland.
Yeah, Slava P, and the P is for Poland.
Damn
right. And we are joined by the one and only Keegan Bradford of the band Bandcamp Trash. And we figured we would have you on because since you are of the Bandcamp Trash, we wanted to know if Bandcamp is now trash.
That was good.
I read that in the doc y'all sent over and could not believe it. Just the artistry at work here.
I have no idea what you're talking about. Drew came up with that off the top of his head. That was all first verse.
The profundity of the pun here.
Dude, I've been sitting on that for a week.
It's gorgeous. It's absolutely stunning.
Yeah, I mean, well, I guess Keegan, first off, do you want to... So, Keegan, you have to explain the Bandcamp situation to us. Because, it's literally in your name.
I'm in a band that has our music up on Bandcamp. We have, sold music through Bandcamp, through our label, Count It Lucky Stars, which puts out our music, and also on our own before. And growing up, I used Bandcamp to put out music when we record stuff in our bedrooms. And I've also had the pleasure of writing for their publication, Bandcamp Daily, which is another side of the website where they do like editorial music writing. And I've always loved the website. I think it's just a great filling a gap that doesn't exist anywhere, just a place where you could put up your music for free and share it with people and they could download it. And then there was like just basic, it's like the best part of the internet where you go somewhere and there's a really basic search option to find a genre or a location or like just a way to broadly search and find stuff you'd never find otherwise. It's like, now that Google doesn't work at all and YouTube doesn't allow you to like specialize your searches or whatever, like it's insane that YouTube doesn't let you search by time period. It's just like first or last. And it's because they want to push like algorithmically promoted content to you to kind of keep the ad cycle going. But it's just like all this stuff that was fun to discover on the internet is just being buried. And so Bandcamp was a very basic music discovery system that I loved. And then for a while I was writing a music column about, because when I lived in China, there was like this band called Chinese Football. And I was like, that's hilarious. It'd be so funny if they sounded like American Football, the Midwest emo band, and they sound just like American Football. That's the joke. They loved American football. Oh my God. And these guys from Wuhan started a band called Chinese Football, which rocks. It's really good. We've also got a Japanese football in Japan now. They're really leaning hard into it. But
so it's almost like D-beat bands where like the entire genre is based off the work of one band.
Yeah, it keeps unfolding in a very specific way. But I found this because Bandcamp was one of the few websites that wasn't blocked also when I was in China. I couldn't use Twitter or anything without a VPN and had to figure out what I could actually do on the internet there. I was living in Guangzhou, which is southeast China. It's like an hour and a half from Hong Kong, or an hour and a half by train. And so we would take the train to Hong Kong all the time. Hong Kong is the best city on earth. It's a no visa city. So if you can fly there, you can hang out there. You should just go. It's like if, you know how Seattle is kind of like centered around the bay, there's like the water and everything. It's like if you did that with New York City, just put a much bigger city in the mountains around the bays. And it's the most fun city I've ever been in. But I started going to concerts in Hong Kong because I had friends that were over there and I was finding music through Bandcamp. And I was like, holy shit, it's like these kind of niche genres of music that I'm into are all happening here. And so when I came home, I started writing a little column for a music website called The Alternative, where I did like roundups of like emo and punk music that was coming out of China, Japan, and Indonesia, and Malaysia, and just Asian countries that weren't getting any U.S. coverage. And I would just search by country. I would just type in a country or a city and listen to hundreds of releases, like whatever I could find from there, and just stumble into these like little local music scenes that were just uploading their own music online. And there's just so few places like that anymore where you can be like, I'm going to find something that nobody's hearing and nobody's finding. And you can't do that with Google or YouTube or any of the major services anymore. So to have a place where I was just able to like find stuff with no system in place and everything felt like a discovery was really cool. And I made a lot of friends that way, connecting with people that play music overseas. And so Bandcamp, like, obviously has been sold twice since then, since the days when I was writing for them and like using them to write columns and stuff. And the first time it was sold to Epic Games, and it seemed like bad at first, because usually when a major company a video game company acquires a different kind of company, you're like, this is probably not going to be good. But for a while, it felt like nothing was happening except cooler music was in Fortnite. And I was like, well, this is not bad. This is certainly not the worst thing that could happen.
I will say that I lived in Durham, North Carolina at the time that the sale happened, and Fortnite company, Epic Games, their headquarter was like one town over. And in terms of like, I don't know, giant companies, like they weren't that bad. They're not great. But like one interesting thing about the owner of that company is, or I guess founder, is he would buy land in North Carolina, just like big tracts of land, and then he would just like give it to the state. He would just be like, "Hey, I got this for y'all. You can have it as a park."
Just doing freelance government stuff.
Wait, what else was he doing? Because I feel like that's to distract from something.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, like.
Well, I guess Keegan's about to tell us what else he was doing. Yeah.
Yeah. Also, like ruining teens' lives by having Fortnite, I think is a big one. But
yeah, I don't know anything about the Epic game world, other than they called their company Epic Games, which seems like a problem in and of itself. But
has anyone played Fortnite?
So I am trying to play Fortnite. My younger brother, so I have 6 brothers, and most of them are back in Florida, and they're all younger. And the one thing that they all do is they all play Fortnite. It's the one game they all share. Some of them play. The younger one plays Minecraft. The older ones play different stuff, but everybody plays Fortnite. And so I was trying to get competent at it so that I could play with them, so we could do something, you know. And I can only, like the old guy part of me is that I can only play a shooting game if I only have to do that one thing. If I have to build shit, I can't. I can do the game where my job is to run around and to shoot a gun and to get in a car occasionally. But if I also have some sort of like contract work I have to do,
you got to build decks and shit.
Yeah,
they got rid of that though.
You can play it the dumb guy way, and I love that. I'm not very good at it, but that's what I do to kind of keep up with my brothers. But it's a hilarious community where every week it seems like they do something like, you can play as Sailor Moon now. And a bunch of people are like very happy. I was like, this is a great game. It's very silly.
I played one weekend. You could play as Goku that one weekend.
Wait, so is this like what the new community is going to be now? Is like the Fortnite people just, you got to play that instead of being on Bandcamp?
Well, it was in Epic Games' hands for like 15 minutes, and then they resold it. Okay. And so it's gone now. So Epic sold it again. When they had it, it's not clear what they did. From the outside, I'm not sure what happened. There wasn't any major restructuring of the company. Obviously, financially things changed hands, and they had some say in the business, but there wasn't a lot of day-to-day operations. In terms of the people I know who are like editors at Bandcamp and people that I know online, there wasn't much day-to-day difference that was visible publicly. But then when they sold it again to Songtradr a couple weeks ago, the difference was visible immediately, and they laid off half the staff cold overnight. I'm not sure how it was decided. It doesn't really even appear to be seniority. People I know who have been there for years and years and years, who were in leadership roles there and had like editor roles and stuff, just overnight got canned.
I actually saw one statistic on Twitter that said something like there of the like 66 employees, 19 of them were people of color, and only 4 of them were rehired by Songtradr when like half the staff was rehired by Songtradr. So I'd say that they are getting off on a perhaps bad foot, one might say.
The other thing that people are suspecting is that it was recently after Bandcamp worked to unionize for the first time. And the entire Bandcamp union bargaining team was laid off. Songtradr says it was an accident because they did not know who was a member of the bargaining team. They just happened to accidentally lay off the entire bargaining team conveniently upon changing hands.
They had a whoopsie, it happens. Yeah.
The one thing I'll say about Songtradr from looking at them is they're a B2B company, which means business to business. Most other companies that we're familiar with are B2C company. They're business to consumer, but business to business companies you've probably never heard of unless you're a business. So it is like a fundamentally different business model that they're dealing with than what Bandcamp used to be.
Yeah, Bandcamp's job essentially was to let you, but on a wide scale, let you as a band sell your shit directly to people,
consumers,
without having a label, without having a streaming platform, without having a store. You could sell it directly to consumers. They could pay for your music digitally, or you could also have a merch store there. We sell our T-shirts through there usually. Bandcamp takes a small cut, and then and in response to some concerns about musicians about Bandcamp taking a cut of our very small profit margin, most of us are hobbyists. My band is something that breaks even. We don't make money off of it. We make enough to keep it going and to pay for recording and that kind of stuff and equipment. We don't make enough to make profits on it. So in response to some concerns about musician profit loss, Bandcamp started instituting weekly days a month where they would forego their profit share. And so there was a lot of, whether or not it was a PR thing or genuine goodwill, doesn't matter. There was effort to say, you are a band and we want you to be able to sell directly to consumers and connect directly with fans outside of any label system or whatever. Songtradr is B2B, and it's a music licensing service, which means licensing music for other companies' use, not
so you're saying that we can go on Songtradr, and now, since they own Bandcamp, find a Camp Trash song and put it in Nersey.
Honestly, if that was possible, that would probably be cooler than what's probably going to happen. If it was hey, now companies or movies could buy your songs or whatever, that might even be more helpful. What's probably going to happen is nothing's been officially set in stone yet. What's probably going to happen is that we are going to start being charged for using the service in some way. Who knows what it's going to look like in the future? But right now, what Bandcamp is for me as a small-time minor musician is it allows me to get music out to people and merch and everything at the cost of a small percentage cut up top, which is different than everything else. Even putting my music on Spotify requires me to pay up front for a service to put a fee for a distribution company to put my music on Spotify for me.
Okay, but Keegan, what if I told you that your music was going to be used to soundtrack a commercial that Trey is going to see on his Instagram feed for underwear with ass padding?
I mean, that's what's crazy to me, is that because we don't know what the sale entails, the idea of what could happen to music, the rights for it on Bandcamp, we do not know. And I think that's what's frustrating, is just that the idea that you could have a platform where you're just at least aware of what you can use it for, and then that could disappear. And so right now, I as a person go, do I take my music off Bandcamp? Am I going to keep the rights to it? Am I going to be charged for having my music on Bandcamp? What changes for me now? And because there's not a lot of money involved, shit like the rights to my music and to own my music and sell my music is central to whether or not I can make any money on it at all.
Well, what if I told you that Camp Trash's music will help train an AI model that will then make a pop punk song that will be in ass enhancing underwear Instagram
It's going to be
ads.
So great. 11:45 in Portland, Oregon by Camp Trash featuring Drake comes out. And it's about butt enhancing pads, and it's me, and it's Drake, and it's also Bruce Springsteen. That's the other thing. Right now, obviously, all the actors guilds and stuff are the unions are fighting for hey, we don't know what's going to happen, but it appears that you currently have our likenesses, and something's going to happen in the future with that. And that's, I think, where we are with the Bandcamp Songtradr stuff. It's hey, all of our music is there. We don't know what's going to happen, but you just laid off everybody who was in the union and are not telling us what the future holds. And I think without being like a typical, like boring NPR liberal or whatever, this is just the same thing we see with everything. Like every single utility or website or like program that I've ever used has been purchased and gutted. And I just can't I don't understand what is left on the internet for most of us besides using social media services we hate to try and keep up with our friends or something. It just probably what will happen is what happens with most things is that they will gut it for parts, it'll lose its utility, and then they will sell it in the future for a loss of some kind. Because that's what you see with most acquisitions like this.
I think it'll be fine.
I mean, that's kind of optimistic because what really ends up happening, and we've talked about this before, but we've written so many pieces of content for the internet that the AI has learned off of, and we are not going to get any money from that. But at least you get to see that happen in real time.
Yeah, part of it, I can't imagine how terrible it must be to go, I don't even know the depths to which my hard work has been plundered for someone else's profit. At least I get to tangibly watch as that happens. And like I said, I'm not.
Maybe you're watching a porno one day and it's like, Camp Trash comes on and it's like, yo, it's like Leo pulling at me, That could be cool. Yeah.
It is. I don't know anything for sure about what the future holds for it. But every time this happens, you remember that you have fewer and fewer places to go online and less shit to do. And everything's becoming more boring and there's becoming less options for you as a creative person to do anything. Like if I want to pitch somebody about a piece of music writing I have, I'm down to 3 websites that I could consider sending the pitch to, and 2 of them might pay me.
Yeah, and I guess that's... Oh.
Go ahead.
No, I've been saying too much shit. One of y'all go.
No, I was going to ask you, as a content creator, you have access to the metrics of where people find your stuff, right? So how's that changed recently? Is TikTok actually a search engine for you guys in the way that the media talks about it when it comes to music discovery?
For us, no. I'm not sure how, I'm 33. I don't pretend to understand how teens are finding and engaging with music. But I do know that for us, our music has never been engaged with on TikTok in any serious fashion. We're only a marginal presence on there. My brother Levi, who plays bass in the band, makes the TikToks, and it feels like he should be on a government watch list for it. He's just like an insane person. The content's not offensive or upsetting; it's just bewildering. But that being said, if you are not using it as an influencer or a content creator, for me, if I was to post my song on Instagram right now, y'all might see it. Anybody who follows me on Instagram might see it. It's not going to go anywhere. It's not going to do anything. It's just visible to people that already follow me. TikTok is like that for us. We have a small audience of people there that can see our stuff, but people aren't finding our music through organic means, really. Once there are some very kind music review types who cover emo and pop punk music who have mentioned us before. But that's the same as a YouTube channel. People who are there for that content creator's content are going to see it and possibly engage with it further, but it isn't connecting to a larger audience for us. We're just finding new ways into the same kind of niche audience, or the same kind of silo. A lot of our listenership comes through Spotify and initially came through Spotify playlisting or putting it in your Discover Weekly or whatnot.
Oh, so you're pushing a Bentley then?
Yeah, we have made couple twos of hundreds of dollars through Spotify.
What about as someone who consumes music? Where do you go to find new stuff?
That I still end up on social media sites like Twitter because I feel like I find something so limiting and deadening about the vertical video scroll, where you have to passively consume content and very slowly. You have to watch someone do their bit or talk through something, and there's no branching options. You can go to their page and see more of their stuff, or you can click on like a hashtag or a sound or whatever and see similar stuff. But realistically, Instagram and TikTok and YouTube Shorts are this vertical video screen where you are passively engaging with what is happening to you. And aside from who you followed or what you've interacted with before, you're not in control of what's happening at all. And if you want more of something, you can like and follow, and hopefully the algorithm puts more of that type of shit in your face. But you're not able to explore the same way that I feel like you used to be able to. So with Twitter, I feel like I just enjoy the system of conversation with people, getting recommendations that way. And I feel like I can engage with a lot more if I'm reading, if I'm not being forced to watch curated video stuff.
Keegan, this honestly just sounds like an opportunity for you to become the Keith Lee of underground music.
That would be great for me to start listening to like rappers from Atlanta and going, I tried, I really did. I'm just a simple Christian man trying to provide for my family. I don't want to have nothing bad to say about anybody, but
my family walked into the show and they said, hold on, we're starting in an hour. I walked in and they said, oh, what happened? Mike's checked in 5 minutes.
God bless him. He seems like a really nice guy, but it's just a kind of starting to be a bizarre world where he's doing like Sacha Baron Cohen costumes to like not be seen, and it's like this is starting to feel very strange.
That should be his next thing, though. Like Tyler Perry like gives him a show, and he just like puts him in costumes and like sends them all around the city of Atlanta.
It is kind of weird to think about that, like in our short lifetime on the internet, things like food and movies have had such weird like branches off of content, whereas music is more or less just like needle drop and academics and like Kai Cenat reacting to things, but there hasn't been any kind of like subculture that's existed around the critique of that music in the way that there has those other art forms.
What are you talking about? Do you not listen to our own fucking podcast, man? Come on.
Right.
I mean, no, I
remember when Drew said he didn't want to hear Travis Scott talk about social justice issues?
Best clip we've ever put out. Yep.
Hearing that back, I'm like, damn, that could be wildly misinterpreted.
Depends on what you think of coup music. Coup?
But I mean, yeah, I guess that is the other thing is like, I guess like the podcasting boom has been really big for musicians, especially in hip hop. Like you have like, Drink Champs might be a bigger podcast than like, I mean, I don't know. I don't know how popular anything is or was ever, but like, I don't like how like more people might watch a Drink Champs episode than people who bought Super Thug or something. And
sure, probably more people watch Drink Champs than tune into BET back in its heyday. I would say that, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's more accessible for one.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's the big thing about it. Like accessibility also lends to like, it was kind of a power vacuum in the middle of a music criticism for a while, it felt like. And that's the thing, like when people see a power vacuum, they're going to try to take some of that power, and the more powerful you already are.
Plus, it's not just that, but it's the fact that like, as a journalist, you're not supposed to be getting people drunk and then asking them questions, and they're just like, man, fuck that shit. We're not doing that shit. We're Kodak Black. Come on up here. Fucking do a fentanyl freestyle.
I mean, like, it's like Commissioner Gordon versus like Batman, Commissioner Gordon can't just like go beat the shit out of some dude for like stealing shoes for his kid. But Batman doesn't follow those rules. Yeah.
So what we're saying is like a bold music critic needs to rise up and like get
Who can be Bane and save the industry,
Craig Jenkins.
Your take on Batman was that Bane saved it?
Yeah, that's a correct take.
Yeah, okay. Bane had some fucking points. He was like, look at this stupid. He's like, look at this fucking idiot running around with his Gucci belts. Yeah, acting like he's actually helping people. Like, no, we're gonna clean up Gotham City in our own way.
That whole movie was so stupid. Like, they literally made Manhattan or Gotham City or whatever into an island, and then Batman, who had CNN in his like underground cell, manages to get the fuck out of there and like get onto the island. Plot holes galore.
I've only seen the meme, so I can't speak on this.
Oh, okay.
Big Joe movie.
I mean, but also like there is like a power vacuum because, you know, the other side of the Bandcamp thing is like it was one of the few places that you could read writing by professional writers about like underground music. And, you know, it's like obviously you can still do that on Pitchfork, and there are a lot of like indie things still around, but like if the main two places to get paid for writing about underground music or reading something by a professional writer that was edited by a professional editor are Pitchfork and Bandcamp, and then one of them goes away, that's like a 50% reduction in the amount of fucking writing about music that is good out there.
Yeah. There was like, and it just happened so they're trying to keep it going, like the publication side of things, but somebody posted like, hey, we're doing the best we can, but shit's going to fall through the cracks. Like, we're going to try and keep all the pieces we had started afloat, but now there's half of us or whatever, and we're just going to. And Bandcamp, the weird thing about Bandcamp is that they would let you do weird stuff because the point for Bandcamp, the thing that worked for them, was their platform was hosting anything. So as long as you were writing about something that was on Bandcamp, you could write about it. I've pitched stuff to Pitchfork and Stereo Gum and was politely told, like, this is cool, but it's just like maybe not a fit for us right now. Like, there's not maybe enough interest in like Japanese screamo for us to justify paying for a whole feature on it. But Bandcamp let me write a history of Indonesian punk cassette labels because that stuff was hosted on Bandcamp. You could find it on Bandcamp and you could read about it and learn about it and go find it and buy it. And there was an ecosystem where as long as it was housed there, you could write about it, you could discover it, you could purchase it, and there just isn't stuff like that. And I think that there are like a ton of people who are trying to do like music recommendation stuff on TikTok. And I've seen a lot of kids who are like very smart, who are young people who are just like very interested in learning things and finding out more about music and recommending music. And they're often very insightful. But there's just as much kids who are just like not interested in like the context of stuff or old people music or what came before. And you do want that balance of like there being people who are like you mentioned, Craig Jenkins, like one of the smartest motherfuckers alive, who just like knows so much about music because he spent his whole life thinking about it and studying it and researching it. And that kind of perspective and insight and taste is like invaluable. And as we lose platforms for that, we lose outlets for that. And I personally end up just following recommendations of my friends or people who I follow on social media because there just seems like there's no guiding lights anywhere.
Wait, what about the Joe Budden podcast, bro? The last 20 minutes are dedicated to sleepers.
You know, that I did not know that. That whole sentence is so beautiful and funny to me. But like, I just want to say it out loud because it feels like poetry. The last 20 minutes of the Joe Budden podcast is dedicated to sleepers. But also, like,
he puts
podcasting,
that shit on. It sounds good.
There's also like a thing where at this point, podcasting is an excuse to clip out 20-second videos of three guys holding microphones. And also, I found out a shit ton of those videos aren't podcasts.
No,
those are just people.
It's just
making the clips with microphones. Like when you see a girl talking about like the porn industry or something super explicit with a friend, and they're like doing a funny that's not a podcast. That's 9 times out of 10 not a podcast at all. That is two people holding microphones because those videos perform better. Mm-hmm. And it's like there has to be something very real and true about the concept of we have a bunch of like veneers, like storefronts of podcasts, criticism, conversation. And when you go to that page, there's nothing but the storefront. There is nothing but that content, those 30-second clips. There isn't anything deeper or more beyond it. And the only podcasts that exist that people listen to are interview podcasts, or maybe musicians talking to each other, and it's cool and it's a great time and place to be, but it doesn't feel like there's anybody doing the work of curation and discovery and sharing that out.
Except Joe Budden.
Again, sorry, the 20 minutes are dedicated to the Joe Budden podcast. The last 20 minutes every episode are dedicated to sleepers.
20 minutes out of every 3 hours, yes.
Joe Budden could be given more time to sleepers, by the way. Just saying.
But the other problem is, like, we would love to do that here, but we're worried that whatever we play will end up getting taken down or DMCA'd or whatever.
That's not true. We're just fucking lazy.
No, we're worried about the law. We love the law.
It is totally true, though, that there is no benefit to rolling the dice on that. For people who are making content of any kind, to include clips of other people's music or stuff, the fight is for ownership of shit. The fight is for who has the license for things. And essentially that's what I worry about with the Song Trader stuff, is that I'm worried that it's going to devolve further into licensing stuff and auto striking things that contain content that's copyrighted. And like the more tightly controlled that world gets, the less room there is for the sharing out, the discovery, the exploring stuff. Because if you're a kid who can't share any clips of music, I've seen a lot of kids on TikTok doing their best to just show the cover of something and describe what it sounds like, which is great, but they're obviously afraid to use any content because there's a world of copyright strikes they're afraid of.
And that's the thing. You either just like kind of have to go for it or trust that your audience has all the reference points you're making, which 99% of the time, probably 99.something% of the time, they're not going to understand. Like try explaining 100 gex to somebody over the age of 30 who just like is a regular person, not like supremely online all the time.
Yeah, that Fox News guy.
You got to be more specific than that.
Oh, Gutfeld?
Yeah, he like loved 100 gex. He like kept talking about it during the weather forecast or whatever the fuck they talk about on that channel. I'm gonna find out exactly the name of the guy. Gex.
I got to be honest. I wonder what they're talking about on like day-long news broadcasts at this point. Like what?
Yeah, Greg Gutfield. He shouted out 100 gex and Death Grips.
Apparently he was
like, is this like Fox News, like the Fox News, or like one of the like local subsidiaries?
No, it's like he's like a music nerd. It is the Fox News. He's like the worst one. He's like their biggest star now, and he's also randomly.
Laura Lex is gonna beat his ass, man. Laura, what's her name? Laura Lex.
Laura Ingraham.
No, Laura
Ingalls Wilder. Greg Gutfield is
Laura
either the name.
Yeah, what was I saying? No, Laura Lex is a Twitter person. Yeah, Laura Les. One of the members of 100 gex. What's the other one, Dylan? Anyway.
So what's the worst case scenario for what Bandcamp is doing? Like you hear your music used without permission in a Call of Duty commercial, or like nobody hears your music. What would you prefer?
That's a great question. And honestly, at this point, I don't know what the best case scenario for the future looks like. I don't know like what people are supposed to do. It feels like increasingly there is less money everywhere. Spotify recently announced that they're changing some of their pay structure stuff, which everyone panicked about. And it turns out mostly it's just demonetizing like there's a lot of like white noise scams where people put up like 100 track list albums of white noise or birdsong.
I'm sorry, they're not scams. Your brain functions better when you're listening to 528 hertz music. It's just a proven fact. That's science.
And especially when it's in 15-second long clips on 200 track albums. But so they're demonetizing some of the stuff that is like that gets only very, very, very few plays or is clearly like harvesting streams that way. But at the same time, if you're like Spotify is trying to scrape pennies to shovel money upward, like how much longer do we have before what we get paid for our streams, which is already pretty low, how that gets whittled down? Or the costs for being like doing music stuff are so high at this point for creating vinyl or merch or anything. Like it costs me $10 or $12 to print a shirt. So then I have to sell it for $25 to be able to ship it anywhere. And it's like, if the cost if the profits for just the actual music and streaming get cut even further, it's a question of like, what do we do with music? Which it's a hobby at this point for only people who can afford it.
Have you had your music licensed or synced for any kind of commercials or TV, things of that nature?
No, typically sync. So I've had a lot of friends who have smaller bands that have done sync stuff and gotten it, in movies or commercials, but it's few and far between. And typically you have to have a separate agent for that, like a sync agent. Somebody who helps place that for you, because most music supervisors are not just searching, are not spending their day crawling to find new and unheard stuff. So I think my music is licensed through ASCAP, through like that. Just the songwriting is
like the underwear with butt pads.
ASCAPs. But again, because the systems of discovery are gone. So you actually do. I have a friend who has a small band. They actually pay somebody as a sync supervisor to try and connect their music to other people. And you might end up paying more than you ever make in that to get somebody to help you do that. The avenues to discover things just keep shrinking. And so, Spotify, when they change their algorithm or anything, or we got recently taken off a playlist that we were on for a while, one of Spotify's playlists, and our listeners dropped by, it was like, it was an embarrassingly titled emo playlist. Emo Right Now. Yeah, Emo Right Now. The current emo music. But that was on there for a while, and it got taken off, and you don't really know why these things happen. It's not a big deal. Sometimes it comes and goes. But since then, our music listenership has been cut in half, just because a lot of it came from passive traffic, from people listening to Spotify playlists. And I just feel like there are fewer avenues for people to find our music on their own. And when it's not being put directly in front of them, like placed in their feed for them, it's not being discovered as often.
So, like, kind of the only avenue for Camp Trash now, if you ever want to make it huge, is you have to just use music as a way to sell clothes and the lifestyle brand, like the ASAP Mob, or
sadly, the best way forward would be for us to create a really shitty YouTube channel and then become known for something else, and then have our music, people find our music that way. Like the PD guy, he's a good musician. He's like actually a good songwriter, but he is that long-haired guy that makes TikToks of him talking to himself. He's got like
what?
The PD. He's a very popular TikTok guy.
Well, I think I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a funny guy, but he moved, I think, out to LA to do music, and it just died. And so he did TikTok instead. And now he's able to promote his music after the fact. He's now like going out on tour supporting people. But it all happened he had to just become famous for something else first. And that's sort of the way forward. People have to kind of become like niche internet micro celebrities for different shit and then promote their music themselves. Because there's not like really a secondary outlet for that.
I mean, that's kind of what Keith Lee did, just saying. He was like a semi-pro with some shit MMA guy, and then now he's doing food reviews.
I'm just saying, if you start seeing videos of me in my car eating Wingstop, don't say shit. I'm just trying.
Well, this actually gets to my next point, which I think is a question I'd want all of you to answer, but is music content?
In what regard?
I mean, in the way that we view content, should we look at music in that same way? Or is music some kind of higher art form that has to be judged on a different set of merits than what it is to soundtrack Keegan's Wingstop binge?
I mean, I think that, music is an art object in any medium. An art object is something that it is created with an intent, and then it is interpreted however it is interpreted, and it can be created with the intent to have this be content, and it can also be created and if I'm going to make a song, in my mind the song is content, someone might be like, damn, this is the most like poetic battle rap about ancient Roman history, which is the kind of music that I would make.
Sure.
That I've ever heard. And then
like literal battle rap, like rap about battles.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah. Okay. I would be going to like, tour like summer programs for gifted high school students, local community colleges, etc. But then you can also, be like, all right, I'm putting my fucking heart and soul into this shit. I'm like inventing new synth techniques. I'm like creating new instruments. This album is theremin. This album is a metaphor for like post-industrial decay in fucking Nebraska. And then like someone is just like, oh, this is nice. I'm going to put this on while I go to sleep. And then you have tried to create art, but it's being consumed as content.
I think that there's like a reverse problem happening where people are like, obviously music's being consumed like everything else. Like Drew's saying, like it's like you're on your phone, you're taking all this shit in the same passive way, just a bunch of videos to the dome, like zero, like searching, just mostly like being inundated. People are trying now to create music to be consumed that way, and it's creating really bizarre music.
Like jingles.
Yeah, it's jingles. People are creating jingles. People are creating intentional 20-second like songs that have like and some of it's great music, but the problem is
7 cars for kids.
Oh, do you guys know that those fuckers are Zionists?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. Oh, you didn't know about that?
Cars for Kids is a raise money for Israel foundation.
God damn it!
Oh my god!
This whole time,
you didn't hear me singing along. That's all I'm saying.
Got his ass. And so sometimes creating music for TikTok makes fun music. Like a lot of like the Steve Lacy intentionally like framed his music for TikTok. He's like, if you could have these perfect like 20-second earworms that really, but then he had people coming to his shows that only knew the 20. They didn't know the words to this whole song, and he just like stopped touring. He was like, this fucking sucks. He's like, nobody is here because they know my music. They've only consumed the piece that has been given to them. They only know the piece that keeps getting put in front of them.
Yeah,
it's like a sonic version of those restaurants with all like the vines on the wall and the fucking neon sign behind it.
The Keith Lee restaurant.
It's brunch and that kind of bullshit.
Yeah, I mean, the Steve Lacy album's a good example because absolutely he got fed up with people doing that. But I know a lot of esteemed musicians who say that album is amazing. And they're like, no, you have to listen to that album. Right.
Steve Lacy's like, he doesn't really miss, honestly, except for like decision making in this case. Yeah.
But like, how many of the people are transferring over to listen to the full album?
Not enough.
Right. There's definitely a problem where you see like this one song with 1 billion streams and then the album just kind of falls off. But then there's also kids who are trying to replicate that piece of it, the viral piece of it. And so you're seeing a bunch of like typically white musicians make really horrible shit because they're sure they can replicate this like moment, this like catchy sing-along part that's going to like launch them. And I don't want to like name names, but there's several kind of like pop punk type music groups that are just making 15-second clips stretched out to songs, and they don't sound like songs.
Yeah, like I guess back to the question though, it's like I guess Drew was kind of talking about intent in terms of like content versus. Yeah, but it's also like what intent. Just because you build something doesn't mean it's going to be used for what you want it to be used. Like the dude who invented dynamite, you know? Yeah, and it's like, what happens when you make a song like you're Carlos Santana and Rob Thomas of Matchbox 20 and you get in the booth one day and you make, smooth. And then it just down the years becomes a fucking meme.
I know. I mean, but also that's like a sort of almost like rich piece of music history. Like I was a college radio DJ, and we were always getting these compilations of what they would call like library music. And a lot of what that is like ambient synth music from like usually like the 70s or 80s, which was made for like, I don't know, like stores or elevators or shit. Like literal commercial objects that then get like discovered and reissued by labels as like art objects. And then the same thing with like vaporwave. Like the holy grail of vaporwave is like fucking Kmart music, in-store music from the 90s.
Yeah, and I think that what it comes down to is like anything can become anything, and like our biggest song on Spotify is not great. It is just the one that we put out first. It's the one that got on some playlists, and it's kind of the easiest one to like a kind of hummable chorus kind of thing. It's not like the song we like, and it's not the song that I think is good. It just happens to be the one. And so you can put out music, anything can happen. You're just like, well, this is our most popular song now, whether or not I think it's the good one. But I think that when there's so few ways to get your music out there, and so you see people trying to play the system by intentionally creating music to go viral for a specific platform or to be consumed in a specific way, you kind of can compress the medium. You kind of compress what your options are and what your ideas can be, and you compress the range of potential for what you're doing. And then you get music that isn't bad necessarily, but doesn't have any purpose besides becoming a backdrop, becoming a neon sign at a restaurant that says, buy me tacos and call me baby or something. Just like, just like it becomes a backdrop because the intention was for it to be used that way. And I find that that's like why you see a lot of independent musicians especially talk really hostilely about TikTok as if they're much older than they are. Like, fuck this. I don't want to make us do a fucking dance for my song. It's like, well, no one's going to listen to your song anyway, man. The reason people are mad about it is because you do feel like you have to create something specific to be consumed that way. Like, I don't think that our music doesn't go viral on TikTok. It doesn't connect with people on TikTok because I just don't think it suits itself to like making videos. You know, it doesn't feel like a cool soundtrack for you changing outfits or doing something. Like, it's not. It just doesn't work that way. And so
it's also interesting because like you guys, Camp Trash started as a meme, right?
Yeah, that's absolutely true. We we recorded the music with no plan for what to do with it. So we recorded it and immediately made a Twitter account and started telling people that we have music and we're going to put music out. And then Kind of Lucky Stars was kind enough to say, well, we'll put it out. We'll put it out on vinyl and everything. It just takes 100 years to do that these days. It was like right at the start of the pandemic. And
so this was like the gay Hooters era of Camp Trash, right?
Yes, exactly. The Benghazi Wings Camp Trash era.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Can you explain those two phrases to me and everyone else?
What, gay Hooters?
I think legally we're prevented from talking about it further.
It kind of explains itself. Like, it's gay Hooters, and their biggest attraction was their Dyson Airblade. And yeah, it was, yeah. And it was a restaurant, but it wasn't.
Explaining gay Hooters would require them to reinstate Tom Brodu's Twitter account, which I think is the most important thing that any of us can write our congressman about, is to put Tom's Twitter account.
We're losing recipes, man.
Website.
Why was the Dyson Airblade involved?
What?
What was the Dyson Airblade involved for?
Because they had one, and they wanted you to know about it.
It's like it would take. It's not worth it. It's just not the amount
of time. You had to be there, dude. You had to be there
to explain. I think that it's very basic concept. What if Hooters was gay? And then
yeah, that makes sense. That makes
very
perfect
simple.
Sense.
It's not hard.
You put your dick in the Airblade.
So in the beginning, we're gonna put our music out.
Thank you.
We were going to put our music out ourselves and said, hey, we got music coming out. And then the label was like, it's going to take like, 8-9 months for us to get vinyl made, and we can't release it till then. So then we just had to keep telling people, no, we're not lying. The music is coming, just much later. And we just had, for 9 months, had to like insist to people that we are a real band and music will come someday. Like, we're not lying. We didn't make it up. It is going to happen. And so Camp Trash as a real band became a joke because it did not seem like we were a real band. It seemed like a bit that I made up, that I had this band. And then we, for some reason, we made a t-shirt that said that before we actually released any music. That just said good. Camp Trash is a real band. And our friend Jay, Listen Up Nerds on Twitter, made a shirt that just said Camp Trash is a real band and I'm in it. And so we started selling a t-shirt before the music came out, which made us look more like a pyramid scheme that didn't actually have any music coming out. And people were just like, you're not a band. And we were like, we promise you we're a band. And now we're sort of a band.
Wait, so where did the Benghazi wings fit into Camp Trash?
Well, that was at Gay Hooters. Yeah.
Yeah, no, the Benghazi wings are a Gay Hooters menu special.
I mean, we were just talking about all the different like revenue streams you need to pursue in order to be a profitable music band.
Yes. And when, like I said, when I'm in my car reviewing the Benghazi wings, I need y'all to just keep scrolling. So yeah, I think that a lot of the origins of the band were kind of a meme. We're very like a joke, and part of that was intentional because like people don't really give a shit if you have a band with guitars in it. Like, it's fine. Like, there's just a lot of them, and so I don't click every Spotify link I see on people's Instagram or whatever. But I think what people are online for is to feel like, to find something that's funny and to feel like they're part of the joke. Like, actually, the Gay Hooters riff that we used to do was funny because we all liked being in on this joke. That whenever somebody new saw it, they were like, what the fuck are you talking about? And we would have like this whole bit about Gay Hooters that we would do. And it felt funny because it was like our joke, like an in joke, even though it was online in a public forum. And so the band feeling like an in joke, it did what we wanted it to do, which is we wanted it to feel like you were a part of it. Like, it was like, we don't have like a local music scene because it's the middle of a pandemic and nobody can see us play in real life. And there's nothing about this that feels like actually connecting. But if this is like a joke that we share that you're part of, you're in Camp Trash too. And you have then it feels like we're sharing something.
So you're saying that Camp Trash is like the polyphonic spree?
Yeah, exactly.
And that everyone is in it.
Everyone is in it. And hang on a sec, my littlest brother is calling. Hey, Hayden, I'm doing a podcast. Can I call you later?
Is that the one who has a dirt bike?
No, he doesn't have he might have a phone right now. That one sometimes has a phone and sometimes doesn't.
Oh, I said dirt bike.
No, I'm saying that one who has the dirt bike.
Oh, that one does have. Oh, okay.
He wouldn't be calling me because he doesn't have a cell phone.
Okay. Honestly, that sounds like a better arrangement in life to have a dirt bike over a cell phone. I take that shit.
Yep. That's exactly what I would prefer. I'm trying to really lean into the dirt bike mentality, which is instead of doing what I normally do, I get a dirt bike and ride a dirt bike.
Dirt bikes are hard because you got to fucking switch gears with like a weird motion of your foot that you're not normally used to. Real pain in the ass.
Well, the dirt bike mentality is a little different than that.
Yeah, the dirt bike mentality it encompasses a lot of shit. It's about living Moss dirt bike. Do you guys have the mini bike gangs? Like the dudes that roll around on the tiny little bikes?
Yes.
They just like do wheelies down the street on like little Vespas or whatever?
Well, there's sort of like size agnostic bike gangs in Philly, and it ranges from everything from like side-by-sides to four-wheelers to big dirt bikes, medium dirt bikes, and then the like little like Hondas that look like they're for children, but they're actually for adults. And size has no bearing on like how loud and how cool the loud sound is when you rev the engine also.
Yeah, I think that Philly seems to have a really good personal recreation vehicle community.
Yes. And yeah, actually, everyone in the DSA owns one. And so you know what they call the DSA here? The dirt bike left.
Unbelievable.
I'm so
Do people ride
sorry.
those little hoverboards around or like segways? Like if I had a Segway, can I hop in on the motorcycle gang?
Unfortunately, there is like a little weird hoverboard community here that hangs out at the bar near my house, and they all sort of
Wait,
dress like
it's
they're in the
little in
Matrix.
Portland? The hover.
I don't look. This is bad PR for Portland to admit that there's a massive hoverboard community that hangs out at the bar near my house.
Are they causing trouble?
I mean, unless the polls come, yeah, they like they triangulate his position from there.
I wake up one morning, I'm like, Raquel, Google what flags those are outside our house right now. It's very important I figure out what flags these are.
So what do you play in the band?
I play guitar. I do the lead guitar, which I just had to learn to do because I can't really sing. So I had to figure out like what my usefulness was to the band.
Tambourine.
So I've gotten better as I go along because that was just my role in the band. And as time has gone on, I wanted to do more interesting things and make that more of a part of our music. And so the music we have out now is kind of like pop punk because it's sort of what we grow up listening to and went to those shows a lot as teenagers. But increasingly I'm trying to like listen to older music and like just find more interesting things to do with the guitar than the same stuff I grew up on. You know, I spend a lot of time now listening to like Guided by Voices and Elvis Costello and like all just kind of older guitar music where people were doing really weird things that other people weren't doing, and trying to learn what could like just find things that are more fun and more interesting for me personally, and hopefully turn our music into something that's a little bit less predictable and something that's a little bit more fun.
Have you seen Prince do the cover of My Guitar Gently Weeps at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame with all those other people, but Prince like definitely stole the show?
Where he throws the guitar up in the air at the end and like it doesn't come down.
Oh wait, I've seen that clip, the video that the guitar that disappears.
Oh, like Bobby Shmurda said.
Exactly. Yes, Bobby Shmurda definitely took that from Prince.
Do you guys feel like that's when everything got fucked up? Like when Bobby threw the hat, everything after that was fucked up?
And if the hat comes down, then it's
going to be all be put right again. We're in an alternate timeline because the hat didn't come down.
That was like what, like 2013?
Yeah, I mean that's a lot to put on Bobby Shmurda, though.
No, that wasn't. That had to be a little. Like, I want to say like 14 minutes. Actually, it doesn't matter.
Everything is actually Rich Homie Quan's fault.
That probably is true. Actually, I believe that.
What? Rich Gang broke up and all of a sudden,
timing works out. He stopped going in.
Damn,
that's true. He did stop going in.
Damn, when was the last time Rich Homie Quan went in? I think that's the key.
2017.
Oh my god.
Oh fuck.
I remember Slava once interviewed Rich Homie Quan, and
I mean, I interviewed Rich Homie Quan a few times. The first time you were talking about was over the phone. And then when I talked to him at the art gallery, we were talking about artists. And I'm like, wow, it looks like he stopped going in. Will you ever stop going in? I really lobbed it up for him to be like, no, I will never stop going in.
And
he stopped going in. Yeah. I hate when people lie to me. That's why I can't form close relationships.
Because everybody that I love someday will stop going in.
Can I ask you a question about guitars?
Mm-hmm.
All right. What's the difference between, is there a scale between rocking, shredding, and wailing?
Yeah, and I think it's in that order.
Okay.
Rocking is you're hitting that shit, you're having a good time, everything's going well. But that's like, the whole band can be rocking.
Okay.
Now shredding, one of you has to be shredding. Somebody, that means that whoever's on their instrument is really getting it. But when you are wailing, that's a different tier. That's I think Prince wails. I think those guys wail. I think that you've got to really be getting after it to be wailing. I don't think that I do much wailing.
Do you think you could if you had a whammy bar?
Yes, of course. That's the problem. If I just had better equipment, I would be wailing. You got to wham me to wail, I think.
Okay.
What if Birdman came to you and he said, I want to sign you guys, but the deal has to be favorable to Birdman? What sort of things would you not negotiate on?
I gotta be honest.
What are some things you need?
I feel like nothing that our music could do would be favorable to Birdman. I can't
That's
imagine
not true.
that
He
would
signed
make
Kevin
money on that
Rudolph.
deal.
He signed Kevin Rudolph, okay?
Yeah, I think the most favorable thing to Birdman is like having you guys would give Kevin Rudolph an album to produce.
Yeah, I think that there's like, if we could just serve up some raw material for someone to shape into something useful. We might have to cut this out, but is Birdman like a shitty person?
Yeah, dude.
Oh yeah, no,
he's really bad to everybody he's worked with, right? Like he's a bad person.
Well, when BG got out, he was there. I don't know if he gave BG a dime, but like, yeah, Birdman showed up. Yeah, he was there.
Yeah, Birdman is a walking, more powerful party breaching the contract.
Do y'all remember when Marvel did a thing where like Birdman was a villain in one of the comic books or some shit?
Yeah, he was Kingpin in Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Also, I just want to know
that I said it, so like Slava's not making this up. Yeah, that would be on me.
This is Kevin Rudolph breaking down how he wrote his hit song "Let It Rock." So this is a TikTok.
Damn. Okay, so do you think Kevin Rudolph would have had a longer career if he'd called it "Let It Wail"?
You know, the question is kind of, would he have gone higher? Absolutely. Can you imagine if you're in the club and "Let It Wail" came on? Fist fights. Okay, this is actually, every picture of Kevin Rudolph playing guitar looks like Lil Wayne playing guitar. It looks like he's just seeing a guitar for the first time.
Man, I just Googled a picture of Kevin Rudolph, and I did not know he really like looked like this.
You guys need to go on his TikTok. He's spilling the tea with like a lot of wooden jewelry on.
Every sentence of Kevin Rudolph's Wikipedia is in... Rudolph's first studio album was released November 24, 2008, produced and co-written by Rudolph with the exception of one song, She Can Get It, which was produced by the Neptunes.
Big tune.
I mean, so the like post NWA Ruthless Records sort of like landscape was super random. Like, I think that will.i.am was at least a ghostwriter for that, or maybe was like signed. And they also had a hip hop flautist, like a
Miriam
guy.
Beneri?
His name was Jimmy Z, and all he did was play flute over hip hop beats. And like, I feel like him and Kevin Rudolph, after having looked at a picture of Kevin Rudolph, are like somehow kindred spirits.
These guys exist in every genre. We didn't this year because our singer's sister is getting married, but we always play this punk festival in Florida called The Fest. And that's where a bunch of like, you know, like PBR punk bands all come to play. And then a lot of my friends in smaller emo bands go there to play. And it's a lot of fun because like the venues are just bars around the city and there's no open container laws. So you just sort of like drink between the bars and see bands in small rooms, and it's a lot of fun. But there's a guy who plays, but they also do a lot of like, they're old punk guys, and so they do a lot of like bringing on denim jacket punk stuff that is just very stereotypical. And the guy that is there every year called the Punk Rock Cellist, and he just does cello covers of punk rock songs, which I'm not sure even how it works. I haven't seen him play. I don't know how you would differentiate a punk rock cover of the Ramones from a cello cover of the Ramones from Black Flag or something. But he is the punk. There is a genre plus instrument of every genre.
Does he wail on the cello or does he riff on it? Like, what is he doing?
I would say that he shreds on the cello. I do not know if he wails on the cello. I think if you were the death metal cellist, then you'd probably be wailing on the cello. Slava, when you were in prison, did you have a Switch?
Like a knife or a Nintendo?
Like a Nintendo Switch?
No.
Look at me in the face and try and assess if I've ever said the word switch and meant a weapon. I clearly am a person who's only ever referred to a game system.
No, you're not allowed to have a Switch. You're allowed to have up to a DS, the one that doesn't connect to the internet. But I was big on N64 games.
Because I remember we were in the group chat with our dearly departed friend Christian Smith, and he was like, I'm playing Switch right now, and it says Slava just logged on, and I think he's in prison.
Yeah, RIP Squid Dad, man.
Yeah, we're gonna have to cut that for it. We're gonna have to cut that for it.
Oh my God. Okay.
Sorry, I'm pulling on my drafts right now.
Yeah, look at fucking Nardwar over here. Yeah.
Yeah, that's insane. I didn't even think that. Wow, fuck.
I just have never.
Some of the best times of my life.
I've never laughed harder than all of us as a team trying to figure out, like, Googling, can you have Nintendo in prison?
Oh, you can't have anything in prison, but
was this in the DSTT?
Yeah, this was in DSTT.
Yeah. Tell everybody over there I said what's up. Yeah. If y'all are still in there. Yeah.
Yep. Oh yeah, it's still. We still got the crew in there, probably until everybody dies. It just became like, I think like everybody's bonded after a few of the crew pass. Everybody just sort of is stuck together. We're all married now.
I got a new phone, and then my Slack just like I couldn't get back in it, and then nobody gave me a password, so I was like, all right, man, fuck y'all.
We'll toss you back in there at some point.
It'll happen. It'll be like True Blood, like somebody's gone from season 3 to season 8, and then I just pop back up.
Since this is now the Nersey responsibility era, should we all read our Twitter drafts?
Okay, this is a draft I wrote on tour a while ago. And it literally says, this is the first draft on my browser Twitter. No bullshit. It says, if Vice/Noisy was still a thing like it used to be, Camp Trash would be doing tour bar diaries.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because I was in charge of that, like finding people to do those. And
because it's very specific when you're on tour. You want to go to a bar that isn't good because you have like $12 and you got a little bit drunk before your set, but now you're half sober. And so you have to use $12 to get drunk again. And that requires a bar that is like, smells like you could until very recently smoke inside of it. And we just have a long list of terrible bars in cities across America that we would have had a Noisy blog in a different era about.
Okay, well, I have two, and it's the fact that I haven't been able to stop thinking about how they give gorillas tablets. Did you see that in the news? They gave gorillas at the zoo tablets.
For what?
No.
To like go online, and the gorillas got addicted to the tablets.
What?
Yeah, this was happening everywhere, and then they took away the tablets, and the gorillas got so mad. So then,
oh my God!
Like they had to give the gorillas back the tablets, and all that they were watching was like gorilla-based content.
That
what?
Rocks. That actually is awesome as hell.
Oh my God!
That seems like it's not going to backfire at all.
No,
don't show them. Do not show them Planet of the Apes.
The most recent Google search was weapons that gorillas can make and use.
Oh, this is a good one. I guess. I don't know. We'll see. Talking about playing Trivial Pursuit. How about you trivially pursue some bitches?
Drew, what you got?
Extremely Bernie voice. For too long, the Millionaire Boys Club and Billionaire Boys Club have enjoyed exclusive access to the drip, tax-free.
That's a good one. You should have let that one fly.
Yeah, that's good. Actually beautiful. That's really good.
Scooby-Doo was funny as shit because everyone would split up and they would send Shaggy with the talking dog. They wanted that nigga to
die. That one's funny because it's true.
No, this one, whenever a tweet gets more than like 15 retweets, people start disagreeing with it for no reason. I said, I enjoy a good hot dog, and someone said, you're just making shit up.
was weirdly hoping that Oliver Anthony was out here doing guitar tricks, a la windmills, duck walks, playing it with his teeth, etc.
I have one that just says Andrew Tate is just Dane Cook.
You might have done something.
Boy, I know David Attenborough be wanting to beat Morgan Freeman's ass. To be fair, like, what the fuck does Morgan Freeman know about dinosaurs?
All right, Keegan, draft us. Oh.
This one says they should have let Camp Trash be Town Troubadours and Gilmore Girls. That is true, but also a little bit damning that there's this many Gilmore Girls related drafts in here.
Slav, is it you?
This one's just lowest common denominator sound system.
All right.
Nice.
Okay, so I've never actually listened to U2 beyond their 3 main songs. Are they actually good, or have they always been fucking bullshit?
I like that you're hanging on to that one because you're afraid of U2 stans. I do not know if U2 stans they're using speech to text, right? Like, how are they going to find you?
All right, this has been Nerzy, the number one
anti-Polish podcast.
All right, for once and future number one anti-Polish podcast on leftist.
I probably agree with number 2.
Oh, sorry. Once again, this is Nerzy, the once and future number 2 left anti-Polish podcast on leftist rap Twitter. I have created a fucking tongue twister there. I'm Drew, and I'm joined by
Trey,
Slava,
and our guest has been Keegan of Camp Trash. Check him out on Spotify, YouTube, TikTok, Song Trader. I guess fucking Bandcamp. Am I missing anything?
TikTok.
Got that one.
Well, you know the way I've been discovering music now?
Joe Budden.
The kids who just like ride their bikes and have their Bluetooth speakers playing loud as hell for no reason. So when it's a good song, I just Shazam it.
This is what I'm always telling people. To discover new music, just do it the old-fashioned way. Go stand outside.